war is what took place there. And of course the Moroccan president leaving and absconding. I think he absconded with like 24 tons of gold. Now, so what's happening right now is this buildup of military arsenal in and around the Red Sea and the Mediterranean by the United States government and the French and the English and I think the Canadians are involved there too. Anyway, they're basically trying to encircle Iran, and ostensibly this is because Iran is developing plutonium to be used in a nuclear weapon. And even though Iran has denied that, and the fact of the matter is, even if they deny it, they may well be, you know, on the track to produce nuclear weapons. However, we also have other countries who have nuclear weapons and have produced the nuclear weapons and have the nuclear arsenal, like Pakistan and North Korea, and there was none of this kerfuffle going on with those two. And this reason is very simple. It's actually a twofold aspect to this. One is that the United States wants to control the natural resources of Iran, which is mainly natural gas and oil, and they want to do that with their ally, Israel. And the other thing they want to do is they want to try to stop what Iran has been doing, which is not to bypass the US dollar in the selling of their oil, and they require that you purchase it in euros. So they want to basically just to try to shore up the dollar hegemony system by this act of war. And there was an assassination that took place. In fact, Iran came out today and said that they considered this killing of a Iranian nuclear scientist, a young man about 36, who was, I think he was bombed outside his home last week. And today they came out and said that they think this is an act of war and that it was done by the CIA. And no doubt it was. So the thing to do is to pay attention to that. I'm going to bring that to your attention. And Jim Rickards, now I didn't listen to his interview today. Jim Rickards, who I believe I've mentioned before, he is a resident expert on King World News Report. And he has an interview that was put up today, and I haven't had time to listen to it, you know, because I've been distracted by what are actually much more interesting events taking place today, which are the NFL playoffs. And I'm a 49er fan, so I didn't listen to it yet. But he did the intro to it, said that the war on Iran has already begun. So we'll have to see how that plays out, because last week also the Europeans and Americans came out and said that they're going to postpone the sanctions on Iran for another 6 months. And that was to try to defuse the situation, because what they don't really want to at this time is to cause the Straits of Hormuz, through which 40% of the oil coming to the rest of the world passes every day. And they don't want that blockaded, which is what Iran has threatened to do. Because this would be a very bad time for the price of oil to start going up above well, it's at $100 right now a barrel, and may go up to 150, 200 if the Straits of Hormuz are blockaded and shut down for, well, any length of time. Now, I will say this about the oil situation. I'm becoming to be on the camp, through my researches, that we actually do not have an oil shortage at all. This is all bogus. That the price of oil going up is mainly a function of the futures market, where, just like gold and silver, the price of oil is manipulated by big players. And of course the debasement of the dollar, because and since the Federal Reserve is a serial debaser of the dollar, as I've shown earlier, that means the price of everything that's priced in dollars goes up. That's why we've seen, in terms of the households in this country, our food bill and our energy bill go up dramatically, especially our food bill this year. And however, this is an election year. Don't forget that. And so it's unlikely that Obama would like to have the price of gasoline $5 a gallon come November. I don't think he would think that was a particularly wise move. So that's why they said they were going to not implement these sanctions on Iran for another 6 months. So, but as far as the amount of oil in the world, there's actually plenty of it. I mean, I was just reading yesterday that an oil man who works in Libya, who has worked in Libya, said there's vast untapped reservoirs of natural gas and oil in Libya. And then I've heard from other sources that Sudan has vast reservoirs of oil. And of course we have the deep sea oil that's been discovered over Brazil, which has not been tapped into yet. And what I did hear also was that the policy of the federal government since the beginning of last century was to try to shut off any place in the United States that was going to have any possibility of having oil from being explored and exploited. So they created public lands and national parks and whatnot in order to prevent any kind of exploration and exploitation of any oil reserves, which actually they know are there. And what I read yesterday was that actually the United States itself has enough oil and natural gas to last 1,000 years. So what we're getting from the oil companies is actually a bunch of propaganda, because of course everybody really realized that. And the United States government permitted the exploration and exploitation of the natural gas and especially the oil reserves that are here in the United States. And of course the price of oil would plummet, and of course the oil companies do not want that to happen, so they're putting out propaganda to say, you know, that we're at peak oil and blah blah blah. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. Now, so the next time, because this is coming to the end of this particular episode, and next time I'm going to talk about the nature of money. So I'm going to make the nature of money itself, at least as far as I can gather, at least what I think, because as I said earlier, money is a mystery, and I said there's no question about that. So I'm going to talk about the nature of money, at least from my perspective, from the researches that I've done over the past decade or more, and then we'll take it from there. So now this is the first episode of the year 2012 AD of the Mobuku Chronicles, and so I just want to wish you all well, the best way I can put it is a friend of mine, wife, sent her this, and I think it's very, very, shall we say, positive. And so in closing I say, may the best of 2011 be the worst of 2012 for you. Thank you. Good night, good day, good evening, and good morning.